Hello there, welcome back again for the second part of my graphic novel collected edition haul. This massive May through June graphic novel collected edition haul. As I said in the first part, these books are collected through the month of May and June from different parts, mainly a store called Comics Heaven and an online retailer here in Sweden called Bokus, which is mainly a book retailer, but they also deal with comic books and collected editions like that. And some have been bought through a Facebook comic swap group as well. But let's just dive right back into the haul. And first, I'd like to show you a New 52 book, and it's not Wonder Woman. It's Catwoman, and Volume 1, The Game. Honestly, I haven't read any solo series with Catwoman, but the Batman series I've read, or the Batman volumes I've read, New 52, not New 52, but before, pre-New 52, I've read a lot of Batman stories where Catwoman ends up or shows up and interacts with Batman, and I've enjoyed those issues in those collected editions. So I figured, why not try her solo title? And why not just jump on here in New 52? If I like it, I might look something up from the pre-New 52 as well. The artwork looks quite exciting, and it's written by Judd Winnick, I think, and drawn by Gwilym March. I probably just butchered that name, but I've heard about Judd Winnick before, so maybe fingers crossed that this holds up. Next up, I've got a book, a collected edition. I think it's a mini-series called White Tiger. This one takes place during Brian Michael Bendis' run on Daredevil, I think. The reason I got this, besides that it was really cheap when I saw it, is that I kind of like the character of White Tiger in Bendis' run on Daredevil, and this, I think, picks up after Daredevil basically trained White Tiger to hone her power through the amulet, if I remember correctly. And this is written by a author named Tamora Pierce. I think she's written a lot of young adult books, maybe some fantasy fiction catered towards teens, and well, I really hope that this story is a cool one and that the character of White Tiger gets a fair shake. It's drawn by Timothy Leib, I think. The artwork looks quite cool as well, so why not? It was really cheap, so it's a book to expand on the Marvel universe for me. I haven't read a lot of Marvel or DC, but I'm trying to get into different characters to see which characters I like. And so forth. Next up, talking about Daredevil. This is Volume 2 on Mark Waid's run on the character. This was also half off, so that's why I jumped on it. I have volume 1, but I haven't read it yet. I'm thinking about saving the Mark Waid run until I get the Ed Brubaker run on Daredevil to read that before I start reading this, because I hear that they basically just build upon what the creators before have written, and not just erasing everything like they usually do right now when they relaunch a title. It's basically, that's what I hear, but maybe I'm wrong. The artwork looks really cool here, so I'm excited to get into these, but I'm thinking of saving these, having these as a basically a taste of what Waid's run is, and maybe even trying to sell volume 1 and 2 when they put the Omnibus out for sale. So Daredevil volume 2, I'm excited for this. So I hear a lot of good things about this Mark Waid run. So next up, I have 4 books left in this haul. Well, this is one of my first Omnibus I've gotten, and this one, it's really special. The story behind why I got it. It's basically my first Omnibus that I've ever gotten, and I bought it from a friend of mine. His name is Matthias, and he has a YouTube channel here as well, Matthias Lada. You could always look him up if you want. He hasn't been active for a while, but he has a lot of videos on single issues and his thoughts on the different series as well. So maybe he'll end up making videos, maybe not. But he decided to sell one of his omnibi, and I got the chance to pick it up. It's Superior Foes of Spiderman. I think he said that I don't really need to know much about the characters or the Spider-Verse before I read this. So I think it holds up, and you basically know what you won't miss much, I think. But if I'm wrong, please comment, say what I need to read before I crack it open. I've flipped through it, kind of like the artwork. Another friend of mine, Joachim, Comic Center, would probably not agree to call this an omnibus. It's too thin, I think, for his taste. But well, Marvel did put the Omnibuy label on it. I think it's because they collect every issue of the series or the run. The binding on this book is quite tight. It's sewn binding, but the pages are very thin, so it doesn't really hurt the book that it's very tight binding. As you can see, it holds open, and there isn't a lot of gutter loss, as you can see. So, as I showed you in my first video about the Alex Ross and Mark Waid book, Kingdom Come, deluxe hardcover, it's basically the same size, but this contains a lot of more issues than that. Yeah, 1 to 17. You couldn't tell that it's 17 issues in here. It's a lot thinner than deluxe hardcover with basically 10 or 12 issues. So the paper stock here is really thin, but I don't complain about those things. As long as the book stays open when I open it, and I don't have to wrestle it down to keep it open, I'm happy. Next up, I've got a book. It's called. It's an Omnibuy as well. It's Wolverine Omnibuy by Jason Aaron. I bought this brand new at Comics Heaven. I got a really sweet deal on this. I hear this one is out of print, and I got it way below cover price. So I'm really happy about this steal, basically. It's the classic build on an Omnibuy. The binding is great. I've flipped through it, so I like the binding, and they have the covers on the back, as you can see, and I kind of like this cover. It looks really cool, and this is my second Omnibuy overall. So I swore I would never buy Omnibuy before, but once you start, you can't stop, I guess. I've got a few others on the way, and I would probably call library editions Omnibuy as well, right? But they are way larger than the regular Omnibuy. Yeah, so this is written by Jason Aaron, as I said, and the artists vary between each series where Jason Aaron worked, but there are a lot of issues in this. Well, next up, I've got a book. A funny story about this one. I've been eyeing the Locke&Key series, the Master Editions, for a while, since they were solicited, basically. I've been eyeing the series for a long while as well, but I've always prioritized other books before it. And when I heard that they were soliciting these oversized books, I was really happy, so I could put off buying them for a while and just try to wait them out to release all three. But it took a while for the books to be released, and the third one is still solicited for, I think, August, if I remember correctly. But I got this through a book retailer called Bocus, just because in-stock trade suddenly were out of stock of this particular volume, the book one. So I figured maybe the book was getting out of print, and the book retailer here in Sweden still had it in stock. So I jumped on the chance to get this before it really got out of print, and a week later, when I tried to look it up again, it was totally out of print. I can't find it anywhere, to a friend of mine's dismay. I really like the build quality of this book. The binding is a bit loose though, but since the paper stock is excellent, really thick and beautiful pages, the book needs a loose binding to stay open, which it does beautifully here. And I like this added detail of the little ribbon as well. Really beautifully put together books. I really like this. I'm happy I got the chance to get it. I have volume 2 on the way, and I'm gonna jump on the chance to get volume 3 when it is released. Locke&Key Book 1 Master Edition. It collects first 2 volumes of the story, first 2 story arcs, I think. Welcome to Lovecraft and Head Games. Oh yeah, this is written by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. Joe Hill has written a few novels as well. Many of the YouTubers I have seen mentions that he is Stephen King's son. I did not know that before I heard about this series, so I'm happy I got the chance to get this book. Last but not least, the biggest book of the whole, probably not the most pages, but it's the biggest one. It's a Dark Horse Library edition, and this is partly why I decided to call this a massive haul. It's the Massive Library Edition Book 1. This is a beautiful book. I love Dark Horse and how they produce quality books like this. Honestly, they can't do anything wrong when they decide to release a book in this oversize and this format. The build quality of the book is phenomenal, and the paper stock, the quality, the thought process that must have gone through to put this book on the market is, I'm just happy they exist. I have DMZ, another Brian Wood series, the writer of this series. I like that one. It's a really interesting read. It's this one, I don't know when this came out, if this came out before DMZ or if it's come out after or during the same time. I'm not sure. But I saw him or his the solicitation of this, and that Brian would write another or had written this. I just bought it because of his name. I hear that this creative team, the creative team of this book, Brian Wood and Gary Brown, are working together on another book, this time at Image. It's a Viking series. Brian Wood has written another Viking series before at Vertigo called Northlanders. Northlanders, I was really hoping they would release in a oversized hardcover at Vertigo. They usually do a lot of really beautiful oversized hardcovers at Vertigo as well, and I was hoping for dear life that they would release Northlanders as a oversized hardcover, but they decided to reprint them in paperback form instead. So, but the other series I was about to talk about, it's called Black Road, and it's in the early stages. I think it's the first story arc that's been released in single issues, and they are going to release a trade for this for that in October, I think. So I'm thinking of picking up the trade for that to see what it's about. I hear people like it, so that's been part 2 of my massive May to June graphic novel collected edition haul. Thanks for watching this video. It's been a bit rambly, I guess, but that's what happens when I get excited about this subject, I guess. I start to ramble. Thanks for watching again, and see you soon. Bye.